This Bible study is about Messiah's perception. The original spiritually mature perception of the Bible is the metaphysical. The babies in biblical perception only perceive the physical, fleshly meaning, and the proof is YashaYa himself, as he reasoned on numerous occasions about such. YashaYa proved that he has the absolute highest perception of the metaphysics of the Bible. The followers of YashaYa must also learn, perceive, and have this same understanding, which if we love him, then we must keep his metaphysical commandments. The absolute truth is that the scriptures are fundamentally a document of spiritual metaphysical reality. True spiritual maturity means looking past the literal material surface, looking past the material literal surface to perceive the infinite divine laws of mind and spirit. So true spiritual maturity means looking past the literal material surface to perceive the infinite divine laws of mind and spirit, which are one and the same. When people read only with material senses, they remain babies, stuck in a physical interpretation that misses the entire substance of what Yah is communicating. From the perspective of Yah Metaphysics, matter is an illusion, and spirit is the only true reality and substance of all things. Therefore, a literal material interpretation of scripture is a misunderstanding of reality itself. And so when you look at the mature versus the babies, the physical versus the metaphysical, the distinction between spiritual maturity and spiritual infancy comes down to perception. Your perception is your reality. The physical mind, which is the babies, look at the world through the 5 physical senses. The physical mind, it reads the Bible as a history of material events, physical rewards, and fleshly rules. Now the spiritually mature, which is the metaphysical mind, the spiritual mind, the mind of spirit. The spiritually mature recognizes that AhaYah, or Yah, is spirit, infinite mind, and therefore his creation and his word must be understood spiritually. The Apostle Paul explicitly addresses this gap in perception by saying this: "Dear brothers and sisters, when I was with you, I couldn't talk to you as I would to spiritual people. I had to talk as though you belonged to this world, or as though you were infants in Mashiach, or Messiah. I had to feed you with milk, not with solid food, because you weren't ready for anything stronger. And you still aren't ready." 1 Corinthians 3, 1-2. The milk is a literal physical narrative. The solid food is a deep metaphysical reality that strips away matter and fleshly things and physical things to reveal the divine principle, what I call Yah Metaphysics, which ontologically is the original and the only true science, as Yah is Omniscience, and the word science in there means knowing. So Yah is Omni-science, all science. Yah is Omniscience, which is all science, all knowing. All else is truly the pseudoscience. How YashaYa proved the spiritual meaning. So Mashiach constantly clashed with the religious leaders and his own disciples because he spoke from the highest metaphysical plane, while they answered from a dense material perspective. He repeatedly exposed their literal blindness to prove that the physical meaning is nothing and the spiritual meaning is everything. A good example is the conversation with Nicodemus in John 3. YashaYa told Nicodemus that to see the kingdom of Yah, a person must be born again. Nicodemus, thinking like a spiritual baby, asked a literal question, a literal physical question. He said, "What do you mean? How can an old man go back into his mother's womb and be born again?" John 3:4. YashaYa corrected this physical error immediately. Humans can reproduce only human life, but the Ruach HaKodesh, or the set-apart spirit of Yah, gives birth to spiritual life. John 3:6. Another one is the woman at the well. John 4. When YashaYa offered her living water, she looked at his lack of a physical bucket. He didn't even have a bucket. And she said, "But sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket, and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water?" John 4:11. She was trapped also in the physical. He was speaking of the infinite life-giving flow of the divine mind, of the spirit, the set-apart spirit. That's the water he was talking about. The life-giving flow of the divine mind, the spirit. Another was the bread of life in John 6. After feeding the multitudes, YashaYa told them that they must eat his flesh and drink his blood. Now, he's not a vampire, nor is he talking about no vampire stuff. And so the literalist, or the cannibalism that goes on today, he wasn't talking about that. And the literalist, or the physical or the fleshly minded individuals, when they heard YashaYa speak of eating his flesh and drinking his blood, they were disgusted and they all stumbled. And many of YashaYa's disciples left him. But YashaYa explicitly stated the ultimate rule of Bible metaphysics. He stated the ultimate rule of Bible metaphysics by saying this: the Ruach HaKodesh is the one who gives life. The flesh counts for nothing. The words I have spoken to you are bringers of the Ruach HaKodesh, or the set-apart spirit, and life. John 6:63. John 6 verse 63. He directly stated that the fleshly, literal interpretation counts for nothing. YashaYa's supreme metaphysical mastery. Remember the verse I said above is John 6:63. And so now YashaYa's supreme metaphysical mastery. YashaYa proved he possessed the absolute highest perception of Yah Metaphysics because he did not just teach the truth, he absolutely embodied it. And he demonstrated it as the ultimately superior over physical limitations. He understood that what the world calls physical laws are merely beliefs of the fleshly or mortal mind. By treating matter as a non-entity and replacing it with the supreme harmony of spirit, YashaYa proved that his understanding of the metaphysical laws of the universe are absolute. And here's some examples. And so the material belief, the illusion, then you have YashaYa's metaphysical reality, and then you have the demonstration. And so for these examples, sickness and blindness as the belief in the illusion. Well, YashaYa's metaphysical reality was the truth. Man is in the perfect image of AhaYah, of Yah, untouched by material decay. The demonstration of that is he healed the blind, cured leprosy, and restored withered limbs instantly. And then you have scarcity and lack as a material belief. YashaYa's metaphysical reality was divine mind, which is the set-apart spirit, which is Ruach HaKodesh, which is Yah, is an infinite ever-present supply. That was the reality of YashaYa. The demonstration of the proof was he multiplied a few loaves and fish to feed thousands. The material belief was physical gravity in space. That was the illusion. YashaYa's metaphysical reality was matter governs and restricts the movements of man. The demonstration was he walked on water and vanished from an angry crowd. Remember they wanted to stone him? And it said the Pharisees wanted to stone him, right? And it said he hid himself from their view. It's in John. He hid himself from their view and walked through the midst of them. Remember they wanted to kill him. They wanted to stone him. He immediately hid himself from their view. They couldn't even perceive him. And then he walked right through the midst of them. So he just proved, right, that matter governs and restricts the movement of man, fleshly and physical man. But from a spiritual level, physical gravity and time-space do not limit the spiritual man, only the fleshly, physical, mortal man. We have to be spiritual beings, remade, reborn into the spiritual realm, and still be right here on earth, a new heaven and new earth. And so another material belief in the illusion was death. YashaYa's metaphysical reality was life is eternal because Yah is life and life cannot die. And also we're in the image and likeness of Yah. The demonstration was he raised Lazarus and brought himself out of the tomb. Why? Because he's in complete harmoniousness with Father Yah. He's the image and likeness of Yah, the firstborn from the physically dead and spiritually dead. He was the firstborn from those who were spiritually dead, and he was the one who raised himself to life from physical death, to show the proof that Yah is life and life is eternal, because Yah is life and life cannot die. And so now, by treating matter as not a reality, but spirit is the only reality and substance, he showed that the spiritual state of consciousness completely rules over the physical, and he proved it many times. Remember, it said that you could probably perhaps not even put all the stuff that he did in the book. So he was constantly proving and demonstrating the spiritual reality over the fleshly. Remember, he said the flesh profits nothing. And so, keeping his metaphysical commandments, YashaYa said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So check this. If we love the Mashiach, we cannot follow him by simply keeping outward physical rituals. We must elevate our minds to his plane of understanding and obey his metaphysical commandments. YashaYa completely shifted the commandments from physical actions to the state of inner consciousness. In the Sermon on the Mount, he explained that the physical action is just the outer symptom of an inner mental state. The physical commandment, do not commit murder. YashaYa's metaphysical commandment, do not even harbor anger or contempt in your mind. Matthew 5:21 and 22. And so the physical commandment was, do not commit murder. But YashaYa's metaphysical commandment was, do not even harbor anger or contempt in your mind. From Matthew 5:21, 22. So he elevated everything to a metaphysical level, because anger is the metaphysical reality of murder. And so next, the physical commandment, do not commit adultery. YashaYa's metaphysical commandment, do not even look at someone with lust in your heart. Matthew 5:27 to 28. Why? Because the mental image of lust is the actual act in the realm of mind. This is metaphysics of YashaYa. Proof is the Bible itself. So to love YashaYa is to guard your consciousness, knowing that your thoughts, intents, and spiritual alignment are what truly matter. We must look past the illusion of the material fleshly world, cast off the infantile mindset of literalism, and walk in the absolute metaphysical spiritual reality of spirit, of Yah, who is infinite mind, infinite soul, infinite spirit, infinite life, infinite love, infinite truth, and infinite principle. As YashaYa demonstrated all of this. Bless.